What's up, guys? In my last video, we used fluorescent dye and UV light to find the coolant leak finally in the FRS, and we found it coming from one of the coolant hoses. So today we're going to be doing a replacement of all the coolant hoses. Well, not all of them, but the upper, the lower, the two uppers, and the lower radiator hose. We're doing new Mishimoto silicone hoses. So that's what I currently have. Actually, well, I have silicone hoses, but they're Perrin on the two uppers. But the lower is still the stock OEM rubber ones. So to do that, we're going to do what's referred to as a spill and fill. So we're not actually going to be fully flushing the entire system. Then also, so I have a Mishimoto aftermarket radiator. This is going to be a little bit different of a procedure than what you would normally do. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it, and if you have an aftermarket radiator, you might consider doing it this way. This is going to be a little bit different, and that's it. Let's get to it. All right, so I haven't even opened it yet. This is going to be the kit, new Mishimoto silicone hoses. So we'll open that up. And then today I'm going to be using the Xerox coolant. I'm doing the 50-50. I just got 2 gallons of it. The stock capacity should be like 7.2, I think it is. But we're not going to empty nearly that much. I'd be surprised if it's even 6. So 2 gallons will cover it. I think that was right around 40 at O'Reilly. You might be able to get it cheaper. And then to help us get all the air out, I got this got it right off Amazon. I've never used this one before, so we'll see how it goes. It's Rusty. I can look it up. We'll leave a link in the comments for sure. And it has all these different like connectors that you use to, has all these different connectors that will hook up to, should be pretty much any radiator cap. So we'll give that a go. All right, so this is what I got so far. Typically, there's an access panel in the under tray, and then you would hook a hose up to the radiator and turn a knob, and it would all spill out. The Mishimoto radiator isn't designed like that. It has just a drain plug on the side of it, and I don't know for sure, but I've heard horror stories that sometimes it gets like cross-threaded. And then you're kind of screwed. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to undo the lower radiator hose, and because we were replacing that anyway. So to get to that, you can get to it through the underside, which is probably what I'm going to do, but I think you might be able to do this without even lifting the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the intake. I'm going to just kind of unbolt it and get it out of the way. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'll catch up. All right, so I got the intake out of the way. So all it is you look here, now it's out of the way. There's a bolt here, one right here. That tab was kind of broken, so I didn't really remove that. There's one over to the left here as well. And then we just, flathead screwdriver, undid the air intake. And then we just pushed it out of the way. So now we have lots of access. I already undid the clamps. Here's the one going to the radiator. And then there's one going to the engine and the thermostat right there. Also, if you want to, you can upgrade it or swap it out. This would be a great time to change out your thermostat because it's just right there. And I think it's like 2 bolts or something like that. So really easy job. Okay, so I got just a regular oil drain pan right there. And then we'll open up I'm gonna undo the clamp right here. We're gonna just pull the hose off. It's probably gonna make a little bit of a mess, and it's probably gonna come out really quickly. And then to make sure we get some more air out of it, we're just going to undo the radiator cap. Definitely make sure your engine is cool. You don't want to do this after you drive because you don't want to get, hurt. So, all right, let's. All right, so I got the lower radiator hose off. It was kind of a bitch, honestly. It did not want to come off where it's connected to the radiator. So I did, what ended up working is I put a little WD-40 right where it connects and then let it sit for a minute, kind of worked it in, and it ended up coming right off after that. So one thing to note, right before you take it off, what I would do is put it against your new radiator hose. So, and then try and figure out which orientation it goes. So you want to make sure at least it's the right length for sure. And then you want to figure out which way it goes. On these, it doesn't actually say like if it's front or back or engine or radiator. So what I did was I just kind of wrote on it so I would know for sure when I'm putting it in. So I just put, this goes that towards the front and then an F. So whatever works for you, just do that. And then for this one, we're gonna reuse these hose clamps. So transfer them over, make sure obviously you put the clamps on before you put it on. So all right, guys. So, I'm wearing a new shirt. It's the next day. To be honest, that lower radiator hose right next where it attaches to the radiator really was putting up a fight. So, turned out a little bit of WD-40 or a lot of WD-40. It kind of wiggled right off after that, after I let it sit for a little bit. So, here's what it looks like. I actually lied. I end up going with these black worm gear clamps that I got off Amazon. Those other clamps I hate. I know there's like a special tool for these, but if you don't have that, just using the vice grips kind of sucks. So I'm going to put the airbox back, so get it out of the way, and then we'll start doing this. This should be easy. You got the 4 clamps, one here, one here, one here, and there's one way down in here, which one that one's kind of a pain. But we'll be able to take this off too and kind of move it around a little bit, so that'll help. Shouldn't be too much coolant leaking out because it's all drained. So there might be a little bit left up here that got kind of trapped, but that's all. Wow, those hoses fought back quite a bit as well. Definitely the WD-40 helps a lot. That last one, hopefully caught it on camera. I was really struggling with it, but then I actually took a screwdriver and real carefully, so you don't want to mar up the aluminum there. But just enough to like get inside there and open it up a little bit so you can get some WD-40 and start twisting it so you can work it back in. All right, So right now, I'm probably gonna do a bunch of cleaning. It's just gonna take a little bit. But next thing you know, we're gonna be putting in the new clamp, the new hoses. I've already checked to make sure they're the right size and everything. I actually think this one that they had was on backwards, in my opinion. So we're gonna do that. Looks like I'm gonna have to reuse at least one of these clamps. I don't know which one I'm gonna go with. If I'm gonna do the spring one, which I hate, or the worm gear, which was already on it. But the kit I bought from Amazon, it only had 5 of the big size, and I already used 2 on the lower, which I wasn't planning on doing. So I'm gonna put the non-black one in towards the radiator, so you won't even see it anyway. But I think these look a lot better with the Alright guys, we're back. It's the 3rd day and the 3rd shirt. So, but that's how it goes sometimes. So, got all the hoses in now. You might notice in the video or in the time lapse, I actually put this in wrong the first time. It was in backwards. So now you should see the Mishimoto facing you like that. And same thing down here. I know the previous one, I actually got the car with the parent ones installed, and this one was backwards also. May have been a reason why it was leaking, but now we're all switched. They look nice. I did go with these nice black worm gear clamps, so I swapped all those out. And then I wasn't sure, it comes with this like hose that goes to the overflow, but I swapped this out. I didn't know if it'd be too much. I thought maybe just the black would still be nice, but I think I'm gonna stick with this. All right, now we're ready to fill up the coolant. I showed you earlier the no spill system that we got. Now, I have a different filler neck, so if you have the stock one of these should work, but I had to modify this one. This is they all have a letter. So this one's B. And then this one is the one that goes with it. This should go on your car if you have an FRS or BRZ. That's the only one that'll fit these. So this is the whole kit. It comes with these different adapters, so you can use it on different cars if you want. And then it has different ones of these. What you do, put this in, and then this goes over top. And then the funnel will go on top of that. And you see this one matches up. Yeah, this size matches up. This one's a little too big, different shape, and then this is kind of your old school style. But we're gonna go with this. So, on mine, you might have to do the same if you have a similar one. I think this one's a Koyo Rad, but this one I just cut off. It was sticking out like further, so I just cut it down and then cleaned it up a bit. I just brought it down to where the O-ring is, so now it fits in there pretty good. And this just goes over top. You should just need like 1/8 of a turn or so. It's maybe kind of hard to do with one hand. It should be, you want it to be kind of snug. Yeah, we'll see if it leaks at all. And then this is gonna go over top. Just push it down, and then it has a little collar. And then what's cool about this one, some of them have like a little stick that you put down and you can stop it. So then you pick it up and you don't spill anything. That's what they do. This is a newer style, so it has the just a valve that you turn. So that's pretty easy. So See how that works. Now we just got to fill it up. Okay, so a couple things before we get started. Make sure your engine's cold. Obviously, you don't want to get hurt. Don't want it because it can be really hot. What we're going to do is I'm going to just not start the engine right away. We're going to make sure that it's open. And then also what you want to do is you want to bleed it from the highest point. What this effectively does is it raises the highest point. Otherwise, there's also a bleeder in the back. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you can usually open this up by hand, but there is also it will take a Phillips screw. Mine, I needed to use a Phillips to just crack it, and now it opens freely. So we're gonna fill it up and then you wanna fill it up, not all the way. So just fill it up until it's maybe like up to here. And then we're gonna start it. We're gonna keep, we're gonna open up I'm gonna turn the heater on so the heater core can circulate. Otherwise, there's gonna get a bunch of air trapped in there as well. So we're just trying to get all the air out because if you don't, it's gonna overheat and it can do damage to the engine because it'll have hot spots and it can cause all kinds of bad stuff. So let's go. Usually I would not put it all in there and then kind of check for leaks, especially on that lower radiator hose. But I'm not hearing anything. I don't see anything. So we're gonna go ahead and put a little more in. All right, wow. Okay, so that initial fill took 1.5 gallons. All right, I have the engine off now. What I would do is actually, I know I said open up the heater and turn it on full. I would actually wait until the lower radiator hose gets warm, so that means the thermostat has opened, and that's what you need for the coolant to keep going, to go through the radiator and everything. So wait until that, you can just kind of carefully touch it and you'll know if the heater or the thermostat has opened up or not. After that, once it gets up to normal operating temperature, then open up the heater and let it go through the heater core and everything. And then after that, just wait until you stop seeing bubbles in the overflow, and I would give it a few minutes. This is not a quick process. I wouldn't recommend just revving up the engine and trying to speed it up. Because what you're trying to do is get out the bubbles, and just by doing that, could create hot spots in your engine, and probably a lot of other things. So just take your time, just let the car idle, just let it do what it naturally does. I think the FRS BRZ, it's actually considered like a self-burping system. So whatever little bit could be left in there, it should just go into the overflow tank naturally through driving it. Of course, now that the car is nice and hot, you want to wait until you remove that overflow tank. Just turn the knob so it closes that valve. It looks like there might be a little bit left in the bottom, but with it cooling and everything, it should just suck back into the system. So once it's cool, then you can put on your radiator hose, or the radiator cap, sorry. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Later.